Okay, so good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this information session for the Digital Technologies Program. I am David Camilleri. I am an executive at the R&I unit focusing primarily on the thematic programs portfolio at Scienza Malta. Joining me here today as well is Ms. Senia Haber, who will be co-managing the program, and also Ms. Claire Kauki, who is representing MDIA and will be going through the TAS Centarf, which is part of this program. So for those of you who are not new to this program, this is the second call, with the first call being held last year. We've introduced some couple of changes for this year's call based on last year's feedback and some new incentive which will help researchers better progress through this program. Okay, so just a bit of background information about our unit. The Research Innovation Unit manages national funds for research and innovation. Our national funding portfolios are mainly the Fusion, the Thematic, and the Research Networking Scheme. The unit manages a total of 12 different schemes across all levels of research, development, and innovation, and such projects may vary in funding from €4,000 up to €500,000. Just to go over technology readiness levels very quickly. So essentially, our funding schemes can span both early stage and applied research, which means targeting TRLs 1 to 8. So how do TRLs work? TRLs are a measure of how close a technology is to market readiness, starting at level 1, where we have the basic observation of the most fundamental principles, and slowly working our way up to TRL level 9, where we have a system which is proven in its operational and intended environment. Further information on technology readiness levels can be found on our website in a document which I will be linking at the end of this information in the chat. So the following infographic shows all the programs we manage at Scienza Malta. For the sake of, managed by the R&I unit. For the sake of this info session, I will be just focusing on the thematic programs. However, if you are interested in any of our other programs which target different areas of research and different area levels, I highly suggest you download the brochure from our website, which I will also be linking in the chat, which will give you an overview of what these programs target and the contact point for each program. So narrowing it down to the thematic programs, the thematic programs has the main objective of financially supporting innovative projects through specific top-down initiatives via collaboration with other Maltese public entities and authorities. And for projects which are commercially applicable, this program will target either early stage or applied research, therefore targeting anywhere between TRLs 1 to 7. The primary objectives will be to develop a cohesive research and innovation landscape in Malta, creating dedicated sector-specific support, engaging with the Maltese R&I community, and concentrating the efforts of Maltese researchers and entrepreneurs into addressing topics of national interest. So moving on to the Digital Technologies Program itself, this program is being launched in collaboration with the MDIA. As per last year, the MDIA are the technical body when it comes to the realm of digital technologies, and they are spearheading anything with regards to Malta's primary focus moving forward into digital infrastructure. So this will be a dedicated thematic program focusing on the digital domain. It will aim towards moving towards safer and more trustworthy development, adoption, and use of digital technologies. And it will mainly support projects which focus on specific technology domains within the context of high-level priority areas, which we will see in the next slides. So for every proposal needs to select at least one high-level priority area. These will be the overarching topics which are being requested for any project enrolling under this program. And these will take precedence over the technology domains, which we will go through in the next slides. So for high-level priority areas, we'll have research which supports societal well-being and sustainability through digital innovation, research supporting the implementation of the EU Digital Decade targets for 2030, research on solutions and systems which implement the AI, OECD principles, Malta's AI strategy and vision, and the UNESCO's recommendation on the ethics of AI, research which supports compliance of the EU AI, cybersecurity, cyber resilience, data governance, data, and European Digital Identity Regulation Acts, or ADAS 2. And lastly, research on toolsets which enable digital processing and analysis of Maltese artifacts in written and/or spoken form, as well as research and development in the creation and use of language models with a focus on the Maltese language. So now that we've seen the main high-level priority areas, we'll move on to the technology domains, which will be further classifications for your proposals. These will include artificial intelligence, digital trust, knowledge and data representation analysis, technology for sustainability and ESG, and other emerging technologies. Each technology domain also has its own subdomain. I highly recommend you go through these, which are described in detail in the rules of participation, so you can verify whether your project fits the scope of this program. So moving on to program parameters, each project will have a maximum possible grant of 200,000 euros, inclusive of overheads. This year, we are granting an incentive for TAS and TARF in the form of a subgrant, where a maximum of 25,000 euros may be given in reimbursement for service fees. Each project must have a project duration of 24 months, and projects must start by the 1st September of this year. So, who is eligible? We will have two types of applicants, option A or option B applicants. Option A are individual private undertakings, which must be established and incorporated by the date of application. This would include partnerships constituted under the Companies Act, dual registered cooperative societies, professional bodies, NGOs, and non-profit making entities, such as foundations. Otherwise, we have option B applicants, which are public entities or organizations, including public legal entities and public research and knowledge dissemination organizations. Just an important note, an application for the sake of for most thematic programs, but more pertinent for the digital technologies, applications may submit it either by a sole applicant or by a consortium, which means at least two or more Maltese legal entities. It does not make a difference with the composition of the entities, whether it is A and B, BB or AA, these are all eligible. But the most important factor in eligibility is, as I've already mentioned, the incorporation of said company with the Malta Business Registry. This will be an important point in order to be considered eligible. So collaborate for a small note on collaborators. Should an applicant have any collaborators, these must be included and supported with a letter of intent composed within at least the last 3 months before the deadline of the application. Collaborations can either be foreign or local, but these will not be eligible to receive funding through this proposal. It is also important to stress the difference between collaborators and partners. Collaborators cannot directly be part of a consortia, but they are there to support the project through any means. Okay, so regarding funding routes, there will be two main funding routes, which are the state aid and the non-state aid route. The state aid route is applicable for option A applicants and may be applied for either via the minimis or GBER. Under the minimis, one has a maximum of 300,000 euros in state aid over a 3-year rolling period, with a co-financing rate of up to 75% of all eligible costs. GBER, on the other hand, will have a base intensity of 25% for all eligible costs, but it is subject to top-ups depending on entity size and other declarations. So for entity size, in the case of small sized undertakings, they will be eligible for a 20% top-up, and for medium-sized undertakings, a 10% top-up will be applicable. Additionally, another 15% top-up may be attained if the applicant decides to declare its commitment to make use of effective collaboration, make wide dissemination, or license availabilities. Otherwise, for option B applicants, they will be entitled to go for the non-state aid route, given the fact that they are not performing an economic activity. In this case, a justification for said argument needs to be provided. For non-state aid applicants, the co-financing rate is 100%, which means full coverage. Regarding terms of financing, since these projects will have a duration which exceeds 1.5 years, the grant will be segregated into 3 tranches, starting with a pre-financing tranche, which is 50% of the total grant at the beginning of the project, a 30% grant at the interim, which means at month 12, so middle of the project, and finally a 20% grant at the retention, which is given at the end of the project upon submission of all deliverables, which includes the audited financial report. Regards to deliverables are tangible and submissible outcomes, which will be used as an assessment of the technical competence for a project plan. We can segregate these into mandatory deliverables and additional deliverables, which you may add to strengthen your proposal. So for mandatory deliverables, these will include the publishing of an article. At least one article needs to be published in local newspapers or magazines, which must include an acknowledgement to both Scienza Malta and the MDIA. Any reporting on project progress in line with the templates which are provided on our website. An onboarding meeting with the MDIA at the start of the project to highlight the way forward with regards to TAS Centarf in case that a project has enrolled. Project progress meetings, one as a kickoff at the beginning of the project and every other 6 months to verbally update Scienza Malta on progress which has been made through the program. These must also include an overview of the progression of TAS Centarf if enrolled, technical reports at the interim and at the end of the project, and financial reports at the interim and an audited financial report at the end of the project. So for additional deliverables, it is important that these do not exceed 10, and these can include anything from post-project strategic plans, the attainment of any certification, degrees, or IP generation, any reports after the conclusion of testing which highlight the generation of new knowledge, and dissemination activities such as social media, content creation, and articles. So for eligible costs, regarding personnel costs, there are no limits for research hours, so for researchers working on the projects. Management will be capped at 10%, consumables at 30%, and specialized equipment at 30% as well. However, here it is important to note both that only depreciation costs related to the lifetime of the project will be eligible under GBER for specialized equipment, and that collectively specialized equipment and consumables cannot exceed 50%. Otherwise, subcontracted activities are capped at 25%. A maximum of 4,000 euros will be allotted for travel, although these will not be eligible under GBER, and 20% of all costs for all line items being requested can be allotted for overheads and other operating expenses. Okay, so I will briefly give the floor over to Ms. Claire Kauki, who will go over the TAS Centarf scheme, which will be spearheaded by the MDIA.
Hi, thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for being here today. My name is Claire, and I work at the MDIA, where I manage the regulatory area. And today I will take you through the Technology Assessment Recognition Framework and the Technology Assurance Sandbox. These are frameworks designed to support innovation while ensuring robust standards in the technology and security. So basically, whether you're a developer, a startup founder, or part of an established company, understanding these processes can help you better navigate the path towards accreditation, certification, and regulatory readiness. So let's look and explore how this framework now can support your journey from concept to a recognized solution. So we will first be looking at the Technology Assessment Recognition Framework, or as we like to call it in short, TARF. And this framework has been developed to assess and recognize the quality and security of innovative digital products or services, IDPS in short. It's designed to provide peace of mind, not just to the developers, but also to the operators and the end users, ensuring the product or service meets defined security and quality standards. Now, the pyramid visual that we can see here illustrates the 4 recognition levels within TARF, each aligned with industry best practices and increasing in rigor as we move up, starting with level 0, which is the entry point where applicants conduct a self-assessment. Then we have level 1, which involves an evaluation by a technical expert within a technology sandbox setting, which we will also discuss in more detail in the following slides. Then we have level 2, which includes more advanced assessments covering both control design and operational effectiveness. And finally, level 3, the most rigorous level of them all, which actually requires an audit by a systems auditor offering the highest assurance. These levels are cumulative, each building on the previous, and they offer organizations a scalable path towards trusted innovation. As we move on to the next slide, please. Here we can see the flexibility and adaptability offered by TARF. Now, the framework is designed to be tailored to each organization's needs. So even if those needs are very basic within the organization, so whether you're a startup again or a more mature tech company, there's an entry point for you within this framework. And thanks to its tiered structure, TARF enables a customized approach, letting businesses choose the most appropriate and cost-effective assessment level for them. So basically, you're not logged into a one-size-fits-all model, right? This framework is part of MDIA's wider commitment, basically, to support a balanced and secure digital transition in Malta, basically helping business adopt innovative solutions with confidence. And TARF also offers applicants the flexibility to define their scope of assessment based on 3 key components, and those are the assessment level they're aiming for, the technology domains their product or services fall into, and the control types relevant to their operations. The structured yet flexible design ensures that TARF remains both rigorous and practical for real-world applications. Moving on to the next slide now. Thank you. There are 3 main stages in this framework. So first, we can see the application stage, where applicants submit their solution for consideration. Secondly, the assessment stage, where solutions are evaluated against specific criteria. And finally, the recognition stage, where based on the evaluation, the solution is acknowledged. It will be either given a mark of credit or certified, depending on the level, basically. Now, TARF can be applied broadly, but it also provides specific attention to critical technology domains such as cloud computing, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and DLTs. And to ensure alignment with international standards, TARF uses control types based on international information security frameworks. These focus on 5 key areas: accountability, availability, confidentiality, integrity, and privacy. Now, in terms of official recognition by the MDIA, level 0 provides an acknowledgement through self-assessment. Levels 1 and 2 grant a mark of credit based on a deeper assessment, and level 3 offers full certification following a comprehensive review. Okay, so next, now let's look at the technology assurance sandbox now. And what is a technology assurance sandbox? Basically, this offers a secure space for individuals or companies, right, developing solutions in a collaborative and supportive environment that basically allows the innovative technologies to be tested in a controlled setting. Now, the process is broken down into 4 main phases, the idea, support, development, and success, starting with the idea phase, where the applicant submits a business plan, a residency plan, and a detailed sandbox blueprint. Now, these are also all listed within our guidelines, which you can also follow in detail. Basically, the guidelines show you exactly what needs to be inserted in the business plan, residency plan, as well as the blueprint. Now, the applicant then would need to also appoint a technical officer from their end and a technical expert from MDIA's list of approved experts, and go obviously through the due diligence process within this phase. Then comes the support phase, where the technical experts perform a soundness review, where this is then sent to the MDIA for further review. And followed by a tri-party meeting between all the stakeholders, which would be the applicant, the technical expert, and MDIA. And if approved, then the applicant is then admitted into the sandbox and become a resident. They are basically onboarded. Now, in the development or reside phase, when the applicant then becomes a resident, the solution receives regulatory guidance and technical support. It also undergoes validation and testing, and progress is closely monitored through these tri-party meetings every 6 months and through interim reports. And finally, we reach the success stage, or offboarding stage, as we call it. And here, following an evaluation of the controls chosen, a final report is produced by the technical expert, and the solution goes through a conformity assessment. If the report is satisfactory, then the system would be officially recognized. The next slide outlines the administrative fees associated with the Technology Assessment Recognition Framework, the TARF, categorized by business type, so specifically for micro enterprises and then for others. And the fee structure is divided into 3 main stages. So stage 1 is a one-off initial administration fee payable when submitting the application. Stage 2 then covers fees linked to the assessment process for the different levels. There's also daily administrative fee charged by the MDIA for each reviewer during the assessment. Level 1 assessment costs 250 for micro enterprise and 500 for others, and so on for the other levels. And then stage 3 introduces, basically here we can see an annual administrative fee for each recognition awarded, and this is a flat rate of 500 euros across the board, and it's paid every January as long as the recognition remains valid. Now, on the final slide, on the next slide, we have a snapshot of some of the exciting projects that are either in the process of onboarding, or have been onboarded and now offboarded, or have been or are still onboarded under the TARF level 1, which is the technical assurance sandbox. Which, if we go through, as you can see, there are a diverse range of sectors here being explored through AI innovation. So we have initiatives like AI in education, addressing teaching models by using AI to personalize learning. Each student gets tailored exercises, automated feedback, and ongoing support, basically helping both struggling and advanced learners while also easing the burdens on teachers. In AI in healthcare, we're seeing solutions which feature a forecasting tool that helps predict drug demand and streamline inventory planning for better efficiency and fewer stockouts. Then we have AI for better utilities, where the AI enables automation, smart load balancing, and a more client-focused infrastructure. AI for traffic management is also being used to explore AI's potential in traffic optimization and regulatory alignment. Tourism is also another area seeing innovation with an AI platform that brings together data from multiple sources to support better policy and personalized visitor experience through APIs and dashboard. And finally, in customer service, AI chatbot and an internal assistant help both citizens and agents by speeding up queries and improving service accuracy. Together, obviously, these projects show how AI can make a real practical difference across the public and private sectors. Now, to conclude from my end, obviously, the technology assessment recognition framework and the technology assurance sandbox are not just regulatory tools, they're enablers of trust, innovation, and growth in the tech ecosystem. And by following these structured processes, organizations then can demonstrate accountability, security, and technical soundness, which are obviously the key ingredients for building credibility in today's digital landscape. From my end, I think I would like to thank you for your attention, and I hope this presentation has given you a clear understanding of how these frameworks work and how they can support your technological journey. And I would be happy to take any questions that you may have later on. And even if required, if need be, if you have any other further questions at a later stage, you feel free to get in contact with us at MDIA.
So thank you very much, Claire, and also David. I am Enya, also an executive here at the R&I unit at Scienza Malta, and I also manage the DTP with David. So I will be going through the TAS and TARF component of your application. So it's a mandatory part of the application submission where the applicants must fill and submit the MDA recognition suitability self-assessment form, which will then be forwarded to the MDIA team in order to determine whether the project should enroll in TAS or TARF. And this is done in parallel with the external evaluation of your proposal. And then you have a notice of exemption or induction into the TAS or TARF, and this is given in the case of award, and then the project is implemented in parallel with the milestones of TAS and TARF. It's also important to note that the TAS and TARF are meant to integrate seamlessly with the project, ensuring the maintenance of superior quality standards and compliance with applicable regulations. So as for the TAS and TARF subgrant, awarded projects that are deemed applicable for the TAS and TARF will be eligible for a maximum of 25,000 euros inclusive of VAT over and above the project grant. The subgrant is it's completely separate from the main grant, and therefore it should not be included in the application budget. To be used, the TAS and TARF is to be used exclusively for coverage of service provision costs that are incurred directly as a result of the TAS and TARF implementation. And it's very important to note that the MDIA administration fees are not eligible under this subgrant. Service provision costs will be covered through reimbursement, and these must be claimed during the project lifetime, and the coverage will be 100% for the non-state aid route and 90% for the state aid route, and it will be under de minimis in case of state aid, and it should be included in the de minimis form at application stage. The service provision must originate from the MDIA-approved technical experts to be considered eligible. So for the call procedure, here you have an overview. At the moment, the call is currently open. It has been open since the 7th of April. And during this time, one-on-one consultation meetings can be done with our team for the administrative aspect of your application to make sure that everything is filled out properly. Then, once everything is ready from your application, there is a single stage submission. And when the call closes, we start the evaluations. First, the proposal will go through an administrative check. And if this is passed, then it will go through the external evaluation. And if then this is passed and there is a notification of award, this is subject to the due diligence output. Once the due diligence evaluation has been done, the signing of the grant agreement can be done, and then the start of the project. So for the selection process, there will be a ranking list, which will be based on the highest ranked proposal within each high-level priority area, and then the remaining projects will form a ranking list irrespective of the priority area, and they will be awarded according to this rank until all the funds are consumed. So as for the evaluation criteria, there needs to be a minimum of a 65% pass from the external evaluation, and also you need to obtain a threshold pass mark from each evaluation criteria. So for the excellence, the threshold would be 20. For the impact, the threshold would be 25%, and for implementation, the threshold would be 20%. So the application deadline for the Digital Technologies Program is the 2nd of June 2025 at 11:59 p.m. and the application forms can be sent electronically to the RTTI email, and keeping in copy David Camilleri and myself, with the email subject being the Digital Technologies Program 2025 application submission. So we have time for some questions if anyone has any questions, and obviously you can also feel free to contact us by email for any questions that might arise after this information session.
Any questions about the new test center subgrant, maybe? Okay, so unless there are no questions, I think we can close here. So thank you everyone for joining. As my colleague Annie has already said, please feel free to reach out to us if you want additional one-to-one meetings for more information of it, or if anything is unclear. Just either send us an email or you can use the following contact info to call us. I will be leaving the links which I mentioned at the beginning of the session. I will actually be sending to you via email because I think that will be easier for you to follow. And I will do this in parallel with sending you a PDF version of this presentation so that you can follow. Also, the recording should be available soon. If not, if it's still not uploaded to our YouTube page, you can always come and contact me directly and I can send you the link via WeTransfer. Okay, so that's it from my end. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.